famous all over the world is the name of Houben. One of their basic birds is the Jonge Artiest, 82-638-0170. Every time I handled him I thought, how can such a pigeon be so good? And Houben must have thought the same when the bird was young. It was not good looking. That was the reason he did not want to keep it for his own use, but on the other hand the origin was too good to kill it. That's why he decided to sell this 82-170. And every time people wanted to buy pigeons, Houben put a bunch in a basket, including 82-170, so that the buyers could pick out what they wanted. But nobody liked this 82-170, and Houben had two options, either kill the bird or keep it, as there were no clients. He decided to keep it. The old fox did many good things in his life, but this was the best thing he ever did. This bird was to become his famous Jonge Artiest. In nearly all the Houben winners and aces of recent years you will find his blood. In fact, the bird made Houben who he is. The Houben family is one of the lineages with the longest history in the world of pigeon racing. Located in the town of Houben, very close to the Belgian city of Antwerp, Jeff, its leader, his wife Eveline, their two children, Luc and Nadia, and their spouses, as well as Jeff's niece, Cindy, have been responsible over the years for maintaining the name of this spectacular pigeon loft. Before Jeff, his grandfather and father were also fanciers. We are therefore talking about one of the oldest lineages in Europe. The beginnings with Belder. Jeff's father, Gerard, had been breeding pigeons since 1920. But, despite his great enthusiasm, he never achieved great success. He was best known for his ability to build excellent breeding lofts rather than for his pigeon flying skills. If this was so, the question arises as to why then the Houbens have been so important in the history of Belgian pigeon racing. The answer is that Gerard married the daughter of a heavyweight in the pigeon world, Belder. Therefore, we have that Jeff's grandfather, on his mother's side, was Maud de Belder, who owned the largest pigeon-based pigeon colony of Van Sulemans de Berlaar. For pigeon fanciers, it should be noted that the famous line of pigeons of the Jansen brothers from Arendonk were awarded by this same Van Sulemans. It is here that we see the importance of the Houben family and the connection with Belder, owner of the pigeons of Van Sulemans' origin. From the time Jeff was a child, he showed real skills in poultry breeding. He spent hours and hours with his grandfather, from whom he learned every last detail of this incredible world. Gradually he took on more and more responsibility in his father's breeding loft, and in his last days of life he was proud to have kept his breeding pair, Jonge Artiest and Sissy, which dated back to the Sulemans pigeons, with more than 50 years of history, inherited from his grandfather's breeding loft. Also, the introduction of the last pigeons of his friends Stan Raymakers, Frans Stosses, Albert Evereerts, and some changes he made with Karel Hufkens, Joos van Loo, Joos Thoon and Gomer Verbruggen, contributed to the creation of the great Houben lineage. Not all the pigeons introduced gave great competitors, therefore each newly introduced bird was tested with great care before it became part of the Houben breeding line. Medication. Houben do not think there are any bad effects on vaccination on long term. They just think it is better for the pigeons. All their pigeons are vaccinated against paramyxo once a year, and their racers, old birds and yearlings, are vaccinated against pox once a year. The only preventative medication that they give is against trichomoniasis. They have never had problems with worms or coccidiosis. All the pigeons are vaccinated in the beginning of the year against paramyxo and pox. If a pigeon becomes ill, then they will always try to cure it. If it does not get better, then it has to go. In 1998, they had problems with adenovirus on one of their young bird lofts. They had two nest brothers with adeno. They were from one of their best breeding pairs. Nadia worked very hard on them, and they became better. As yearlings and 2-year-olds they won several first and second prizes. Feeding. The pigeons always have plenty of grits and minerals, and also picking stone. They refresh it at least 3 times per week. They also put some salt in the loft, and they like to eat some of it too sometimes. They do not know anything about pigeon food. They used to buy their mixtures from the Buzmolen company. Now it is all Versely Lager because they bought the Buzmolen company. They have excellent mixtures like the racing, breeding and molting mixture. They know that these mixtures are ready for the races. Sometimes, however, Jeff adds some extra maize or rice. Jeff likes to give a lot of rice during the racing season when it is hot because rice gets swollen up and retains a lot of water. The feeding is very important. A good feeding program helps a lot but does not make the difference between a good pigeon and a bad pigeon. It just gives that 5% extra that is needed to make a good pigeon a winner. Around Antwerp is specialized in middle distance races, 200 to 400 miles. The competition is very tough. The east and west of Flanders area is more specialized in long distance and there are almost no sprint races. Jeff knows that in some places the competition is not so tough. Some fanciers just use sprint races and middle distance races as training and do not even clock their birds. If you fly 600 miles more, Jeff thinks the competition is tough anywhere because 600 miles is always very hard for the pigeons. Houben pigeon family, based on 50 years of breeding and racing. Every year, they try some new pigeons from some top flyers. They give them 2 to 3 years and if they do not breed winners then they have to go. Their family of pigeons is very inbred to Jonge Artiest so they have to get some fresh blood once in a while. Houben look for an inbred family of pigeons just like their pigeons. Someone who flies well for many years with old birds and whose family is not based on just one good breeding pair. It has to be someone who is winning in tough competition, not just a local flyer who is winning in his own club. Good pigeons will win in any position, but how many good pigeons are there? Through the years they have noticed that some pigeons fly higher than others. These pigeons do better in the fast races because they look for the perfect altitude. With a headwind those pigeons have to try to fly into the wind and then it is better to fly low. Of course, the real good pigeons will win in any kind of race and any kind of wind. They once had a race in the Union Antwerp with a strong southeast wind. This is very bad for Houben. All the winning pigeons were in the northwest, except one, Sony. He was second against 570 birds. He lost the first prize because he sat outside for 30 seconds. For the average pigeon the wind is very important and most of the prizes will be won with pigeons that have the wind in favor. Sony, B83 637 7407. Won the following: first attempts against 1,015 pigeons. Fourth provincial Orleans against 4,076 pigeons. Fifth Touray against 1,223 pigeons. Fifth Montargis against 2,065 pigeons. Sixth National Bourgs against 11,265 pigeons. Eighth Provincial Chateau against 2,876 pigeons. Ninth National Bourgs against 8,383 pigeons. Thank you for watching. Until next time.